So now I'm standing after lunch. Hopefully, I'll still be able to speak to you. Okay, the topic has already been introduced and read out, and the menu is on the table, so we can be able to see what am I going to speak about. I'm not going to repeat myself. Okay, so why this topic? Technological changes, we've been speaking about them that have been happening around our lives. A practical example that for us to be in this venue, we had to use some form of technology, either filling a form, booking a flight, booking hotel. So technology is changing the way we live our life, the way we study, the way we bank, the way we work. So also in the education fraternity, there is that change that has been happening over some time. Whereas in the period when the study was conducted, which was between the year 2021 and 2022, in deep COVID era. So what COVID did was kind of accelerate the adoption and the use of online learning, which is the technology that I'm referring to in this instance. So what COVID did was to introduce something that was existing, but that was not optimally used or widely used, because in some instances, universities already had learning management systems, some did not have. Those that had, they were using it maybe just to share their, I would say, PowerPoint slides, notes, and maybe collect assignment, but there was still that form of normal face-to-face traditional teaching and learning. As well as interaction was affected when COVID came into part. Just to be in a room with people, it still feel like a shocker that we are able to congregate, because these were some of the issues or the challenges that we experienced during that period. And also the social presence in effect was affected. I'm glad that the previous speakers were touching on that, to say when we are to congregate in this arena, we are able to engage and put a face to a person's name and be able to have the engagement. But in a learning situation, students now had to rely online to interact, at times interact with people that they've never seen before. And also, let us not forget South African context, which I would believe that it has been the theme of our colloquium, whereby we are very much aware of the issues that are existing. But I'm going to spend much time on the literature to just explain what are those social issues, even though we know them, but how do they impact online learning? Now, what were we trying to find out with Dr. Sam, as he has recused himself? I don't know why, but whatever that I do here, it is between the two of us. So we were looking at what digital skills, digital competencies, and social presence are necessary for an effective South African university online learning. With regards to the definition of terms, quickly you can read there, the digital skills, what is digital competencies, as well as what is digital presence. I always believe in one thing: the moment it's on the screen, I don't have to repeat myself. Okay, to carry on, with regards to the literature, with learning takes form in three parts. There's interacting with the content, there's interaction with where the student is interacting with the content and the student interact with their other peers, and also when the student interact with their instructor. But now we were in a period of online learning. Just to give a bit of context, this study was conducted at the Wits University, and the population of the study was first-year student. The first-year student that we targeted were those that have been invited back to the university. So in the period of 2021 and until this far, the university extended an invitation to first-year students that have never been to the university. In most instances, some institution, maybe they started phasing in. So with Wits, we only had first years that were staying at rest. And also the invitation was extended to students that might be struggling with their socio-economic issues at home that might affect their online learning. For us to just adjust to online learning, it was a challenge for quite a number of institutions. I haven't heard of an institution that says we were ready, we were prepared, we had everything for us, as well as the academics were eager to be online, as well as the student. It was a friction because we were trying to battle amongst avoiding not avoiding per se, or maybe find a way to live with a virus that was unknown to all of us. So there was a lot of issues that were happening at that space. So with regards to learning had to move to online. When it was online, then the instances of the interaction between the student, they had to interact online. So your first day in class is online. How do you learn online? Very challenging. And also with regards to university and online learning, universities have been using LMSs, which is learning management system, but the manner they were used, it's not the manner that was used in 2021 up to this date, whereby now there is a change and the adoption has increased and the way they are teaching, because also the challenge was that a lot of content was just, a person would normally do it face to face and just took it straight to the online platform and just put it there. Whereas the pedagogy has to change, the teaching style had to change. So those are some of the challenges that had to be overcome. And also the impact of COVID in education. The impact that was seen, the fact that they could not congregate. The students were on campus, as well as they are on campus in their residences, in their rooms. The rule that was applied to ensure that we limit congregation, they were not supposed to interact with their neighbors. So you can imagine you're in a foreign world, you're first year, and now you are in a room, you don't know your neighbor, you're not supposed to interact. Boundaries had to be broken here and there. The reason why I'm aware of this, the scenario or the context, is because I did play 3 roles in the university. So between 4 to 5 in the morning until 8 o'clock, I'm a research student. Between 8 to 4:30, I'm working at ICT with the learning management system. Then after hours, I'm a house mother, which is known as a warden or a hostel mother. So I'm able to see the student and engage with them and see what are the challenges that they're experiencing. And you would be amazed at some of the issues that maybe to us might look like we expect things to be different, whereas there are still those existing challenges. Now, with regards to the challenges with online learning, my previous speaker touched on them a lot. The issue of connectivity, unstable connection, not having devices, and sometimes having the devices, then the network is not there. And let us not forget the elephant in the room, which is electricity when it comes to those interruptions. So in terms of the challenges that we experience, those are some of them. And also, a person can have all these things but lack the digital skills, because we have the knowledge, or we have the assumption, not the knowledge, the assumption that the current generation, they are techno savvy, they know how to use technology. There is a difference between using technology for social engagement and for learning or for online learning. So that was part of the challenges students had to overcome. And also the issue of social presence, I've already touched on it, the fact that they had to do their classes online. You can imagine a class that has about 200 students online in a platform that they've never used before. And also another context that I would like to bring was that some students, those that didn't have laptops, there is a program that the university instituted where they loan devices, but also the loan device, there is a criteria that you needed to apply. But now let us assume I don't have a smartphone, the SMS or the email has been sent for me to apply for the device. That an email might have missed me, and you're still trying to figure out things around. So there were a lot of challenges that were happening, but the advantage that my resident had was the fact that I'm working at ICT. So already we started to engage with the different departments. Firstly, we asked the student, those that do not have devices as yet, and then after we get receiving the data, we realized that there's quite a number of students that didn't have laptops. So then I engage with the partners in the universities, those that are actually providing those solutions. But it kind of delayed the process because firstly, students had to wait for NSFAS approvals. We know even this year it's the same issue. So some of those issues actually end up affecting the learning process, because classes, I think they resume on the 28th of February, if I'm not mistaken. So by 28 February, some of those issues were already were there, and the student had to start. And at the very same time, the university was changing to a new online learning platform. So there was quite a lot of changes that were happening at the same time, and the student had to adjust. With regards to how the study was carried out, We use the extended general technology competency and use, as well as the social presence theory. The reason why we had to use these two theories is so that to try to answer the question relating to what are the skills that they need, what are the competencies that they need, and also in the form of social presence, because I like the fact that the earlier speaker, they touch on the human part, they touch on the mental side of things. Between the year 2021 and the year 2022, the number of cases that I had to attend to in terms of mental health, in 2021, they were actually higher compared to 2022, because in 2022 it was kind of open, they were able to engage and make friendships. So we can imagine that in that very same space, how is their social presence also affected, because now they have to use WhatsApp. But how do you even go to WhatsApp if you have not attended the online class? So I'm trying to bring all those links to say, for us to get to the online learning, there's quite a journey that student had to travel. And the study was an interpretive study. We used the case study method, and the data was collected via an online questionnaire, observation, as well as semi-structured interview. Observation, like I mentioned, that my job being in twofold, I'm able to observe in the online learning space, as well as within the residences, what are the challenges, because some of the students will reach out to me to say, okay, I have this issue, and then I will see how can I assist them. And in terms of the population, I've already mentioned that. Let me quickly rush through. This table just indicates the data that we collected in terms of what they could and what they could not do in terms of the technical competencies. And what was said by the data was that participants were indicating that socioeconomic issues, socioeconomic background does play an important role in their learning. If it's good, it comes with the positives of them being able to adjust to online learning, also the opposite. And also being exposed to digital skills prior, it helped them. But those that were not exposed before, then they had the challenge. I'm glad that there's organization like NEMISA that they're trying to bridge that gap, because it requires all of us to be involved into ensuring that our students are actually studying the same level. And also those that were coming from previously disadvantaged, they were exposed to online learning for the first time, which was a very challenge for them. Also, this speaks to the online communication and the social context with regards to what they could or what they could not, or what they could find within their courses in terms of the communication. And these are just few things that were mentioned in terms of students saying the lecturers taking longer to respond. I think what could help is to just, at the beginning of the course, tell them how long it will take for you to respond, because the expectations are that when I send a text now, I need to get a feedback right now. Also, those that were staying on campus, they had somewhat form of social presence. We would like to know, maybe for those that were not staying on campus, as well as the students that were provided digital skills during orientation program, they were able to actually move forward. And also they would appreciate face-to-face training for online learning programs, as well as the participants find online learning challenging, and they would like to go back to face-to-face classes. And then these are some of the inputs that they mention in terms of relating to social economic background, interaction, and social presence, which is some of the things that I've already touched before. Parting words, these are just my conclusion in terms of what we can try to work around to ensure that our students are able to get the digital skills and they actually know how to use those skills to advance their life and improve their life in terms of expanding the opportunities that could be available for them. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Zetu. Okay. Tending to play the game of we have a minute or two, like we have 1 to 2 questions max. I see there's a hand there. May I have mic number 2, if I may ask? So while the mic is going that direction, as Zetu was speaking, I kind of remembered that usually this is the period for toy-toying in every university. So it might be ideal to start doing research on university students online toy-toying. While I'm also asking lecturers, are you ready to go back fully face-to-face on campus and engaging with your students? Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the great presentation. I'm just picturing you in COVID time with all those things that you had to do. That's incredible. I think the biggest comment I want to make is the training of skills for the lecturers who are used to the people being in class to them being online. Because I also did a lot of sessions online with students, and the first thing is camera not being on. You would say, okay, you can come and speak to them, actually call their name, but then they ghosted. They're either not there. So they technically are in the session, but are they really? So it's very, very tough for the instructor, the facilitator to be able to hold that. But there are ways that you can engage students online using different methodologies. So, asking questions, getting them to respond in the chat, using technologies within the platform to get them to engage in the session. So it takes more work to engage them online. And I think there is a need for lecturers to be trained on how to do that. It's not fair to assume that they would just know that automatically.
In terms of that, also the university did provide programs for training lecturers, but also it goes with, do they have the time? Because this was at the beginning of the year, and also we are changing to a new system. But the way training intervention, there's still continuous training intervention, but now it's the person's willingness to attend those training. But that is something commendable.
Thank you so much. Any other question? While that's going on, as a first-year lecturer, I recall lovely Thursdays from 10 to 11 a.m. Used to have those wonderful moments of first years having meetings on Teams about, well, when they're heading to test, it will be 50 students in a session. Beginning of the semester, it was 350 of them on Teams. And we'll be having this live meeting where we have to use the regular words. May you please switch off your video? May you switch on your mic? And those other kind of words. So that might be also another section to look at, how students not only interact online, but the stress they get, especially in first year course when you're new to everything, and now the supervisor is calling you by your, the lecturer is calling you by your name, and you have to speak in front of the rest of the group. Probably that's where the ghosting online comes in. Any question, suggestion,
Yes,
petition? Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Mine is not a question or a response to you, to your question. Thank you for the presentation. I think for me, I see a lot of similarities with some of the work that we are doing. So I am also interested in your methodology. So my question is, in your study, number one, were you able to do a baseline? So to see where they were before the training? And then number two, how was your response rate to the online assessment?
Okay. Firstly, with regards to a baseline, what happened during the OWE program? There was digital skills training that were taking place. But also the challenge is during that period, some of the students were not yet registered. So the orientation week went on, and some actually went straight to the classes. So there was that gap. And also in terms of the response rate, it was not up to what I would have loved, but and also considering that now you want to find people that are still trying to figure out this online platform and also still trying to figure out their courses. But the response rate in terms of, because I had to do also semi-structured interviews, that is when I got to get the feel of what is their day-to-day experiences. And that is actually where I got most of the data in terms of what was working, what was not working, and what could be improved on.
Sorry, I have a question. With your experiences, have you considered making digital literacy compulsory for all the first years?
It is already.
Okay.
Yeah, it is part of, currently now at the university, what is going on is what we call a gateway to success. So there's digital skills that are taking place, the students are taking around on campus. They are doing quite a number of series of learning before classes would resume. So this program is going to run for 2 weeks. So at that time, that program was there, but it was online. So that was a bit of a challenge there.
Yes, I'm asking that because DDG will also maybe support what I'm saying, because we're trying to harvest what is happening across the various institutions in terms of skills, digital skills delivery. And I think data like that, if you collect data on that and that it be shared, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
And just to add on, I think the biggest gap that I picked up is coming from their background, where they are coming from. Because the universities does have those interventions, but now how do we reach the student that is coming from the deep rural areas? Maybe those are the interventions that we have to look into, because we have online applications for students. At this point, I have been having a lot of calls, people saying they passed well, but they did not apply because they know how to apply. So maybe part of the interventions is to taking it back to our communities and see how best we bring everyone into the same space that we are operating in.
Thanks a lot, Zed.